Oh, look at that. We are very live indeed. It is Edge Radio Australia. Yeah. Look at that. It's a little red thing in the corner there, Jeff. I'll tell you right now, it means we are ready to jump into Wealth by Design today. Great to see you. Always is.
Thank you, Aaron. Always
mate.
Good to be back here in downtown Edge Radio.
Downtown. Look at that. We are a bit downtown, aren't we?
Downtown.
It's got that funky kind of feel about it sometimes.
It has indeed. I'm just looking over there. It's seen the Kill Bill sign. That was very downtown. We chopped that place up.
It certainly was. Absolutely. I've cleaned up the poster a little bit. I've made it a bit PG, so it's all good.
No, yes. Thank God you threw that Edge sign over it.
It's amazing what you can do with a sticker. Now, we're here to talk finance, not censorship of naughty stuff.
No.
We're talking about actually building a financial future and the future for our kids, which is obviously the biggie here, which is, for so many people. I shouldn't say that actually, because for a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people don't have kids and that might not be their priority. But for most of us, we're trying to build a legacy, right?
We are indeed. And with the HEX fees, the way they are, how's this? I copped a nice little stat the other day. There is more revenue generated by our federal government out of HEX fees than there is out of taxation with the oil and gas industry.
You've got to be kidding. Are you kidding? No. Because I didn't know this.
That's real.
With the HEX fees, I didn't know. They've renamed it, by the way. Yeah. I don't know, it's something else now. But anyway.
Yeah, help.
It's called help. Yes, there's a bit of an interest rate, which isn't a lot of help, right?
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's the big thing.
And
I've noticed that.
And it was a very well-informed quality source of information. Aaron told me that the other day. And it's quite frightening, that really, when you think about it, because that impacts exactly on your opening line, about how do we make provision to help our kids.
Spot on.
After we've helped ourselves. And,
you want to build a enjoyable, a comfortable retirement. But the same thing, look, life is getting very, very tough, for generations now coming. If they haven't got a bit of help from mum and dad, geez.
It's tough, yeah. And it's all about, if you can pay your HEX fees for your kids, that's a great help.
Oh, of course it is.
Because they can improve their saving to a point where they might get their deposit for their first house or their first apartment or whatever. So just interesting, anecdotal kick-off for the day session.
Yeah, well, look, I made it a priority in life to make sure I work towards that goal. And so to give the kids a bit of a start, whether it be, to help them into, it could be a business, it could be a career, but of course, good old bricks and mortar to give them a home. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So. And of course, there's more and more discussions now about do we spend $100,000 on each of them to send them to private schools, or do we allocate that money as a deposit for their first house? A lot of people are actually regretting that big expense because they said, gee, Scotch and PLC, happy days, great schools. But if we'd send them to Shenton, different story.
Do you know what? My parents would probably look at me and look at my life, look at my career and just go, geez, we wasted a lot of money on private education. We could have sent him down the local TAFE. He would have been fine. Yeah. Absolutely.
Harry Highside's very clever. Very clever bloke, Harry Hindsight, mate.
Yeah, very much indeed. Hey, that's really actually interesting you say hindsight, because obviously this is part 2 of the show from last week, right? And we're talking about different ways we can sort of supercharge our savings and sort of get our super up to date and again build towards that retirement there. Yes. Now, I want to just jump straight into the elephant in the room to a big degree. Let's talk about crypto, right? Okay, because this is a way that so many people are accelerating, right? Really putting the foot on the throttle.
They are. In fact, I spoke today to one of the most brilliant crypto educating companies. It's actually a supporter of your show.
Yeah.
The Orange Brick Road.
Brandon and the team are amazing.
Yeah. And Brandon was saying, all these guys are coming in and they're going, I just want to load up on crypto, Brandon, as fast as I can. Because Brandon's going, look, yes, that's great. But have you thought about the right asset ownership of your crypto assets?
Yeah.
And they're going, no, we're in a hurry. We've just got to get it now because we miss out. So it's a fear of loss thing.
Yep.
And dear Brandon, he said, look, I'm doing my best to sort of say, look, can you just hold back a bit and think seriously about how you should own these assets? Because if we're sort of in this, it's probably likely that we are, this next major upturn in the market capitalization of the digital industry.
Now look at you with the speak. Okay, the rest of us is going, we can't wait for the bull run.
I know. And look, but look, if Bitcoin's 100,000 US,
Mm-hmm.
that's about 106,000 today. And no one knows, but the logic would say, given that there's only 21 million ever going to be minted,
yes,
4 million have been lost, and now BlackRock and all the fund managers are getting into them. There's exchange traded funds been established now for Ethereum and Bitcoin.
That's right.
It is likely that, given that say that's the antithesis of quantitative easing, like money printing. Like money printing has been going on with all the central banks, right?
Yeah.
Creating enormous inflation and devaluing the currencies everywhere. And the opposite to that is Bitcoin.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you say, well, hang on a minute, it's all about supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
So if the scarcity is becoming greater scarcity, then that would be a contributor to increase in the value. So when you've got people like Michael Saylor and Kathy Wood, who runs that ARK Investments investment fund in the US, people I've been following for about 4 years now.
Okay.
They're basically saying Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million all day long.
We're hearing it all the time.
It'll do
figure. Yeah.
It'll do, a 10 bagger, as they say. So if that's going to be the case, the structure and the ownership of those assets is so important. Have you thought about super? Well, I can't get it into my Australian super, so I've got to buy it in my own name. Hang on a minute. Have you thought about setting up a self-managed super fund? Oh, isn't that expensive? Well, you can shop around. I mean, we've just done a deal with a national accounting firm,
right,
that's got a corporate trustee and a self-managed super fund trustee. That package,
right,
down from $3,500 to $2,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a big saving.
That's
right?
honestly,
yep.
So you go, well, okay, so you got to spend some money to set up a self-managed super fund. You've got to spend some time educating yourself.
Sure.
It's very important to understand the responsibilities of trustee. Very important, because you've got the same power as the trustee of your own Aaron Malloy super fund as you have, as AMP would have.
Right. Well, I've got more of a vested interest. Let's be honest. I mean, I care a lot more about the success of that than AMP does.
Yes.
And I think that's the great beauty. I think that's the thing that people should really realise about self-managed funds here is that you're taking control of your own future. You're not giving it to someone who's. I mean, I hear so often, it's all being swallowed up in fees, and this is true to such a large extent. But by taking it into your own hands, no, it's not.
Well, look, I can sort of like to modify your comment there a bit. You're going to get the fees either way.
Okay.
Right. You get fees on self-managed. You get fees from an industry super fund.
Right.
Or a managed investment. Right. There's fees and there's hidden fees. They're not all that easy to find in the industry super funds. In fact, here's an interesting stat. 1.8 billion was rolled out of industry super funds last quarter.
Right.
Into self-managed super funds.
It's not.
There's over 600 new self-managed super funds being set up each week in Australia.
Wow.
So there's a lot of individual people going, hang on a minute, I do have to start taking charge. Yes, there are fees, but you can quantify the fees, be clear on what they are, and then justify them based on your account balance. Because the old adage really is, you should have 250 grand a year in your super fund, right, before you set up a self-managed super fund.
Okay.
But
250 a year?
250,000 in total value in your current super assets.
Okay.
You might have two or three of these funds. You add them all up, 250 grand.
Yeah.
That's a rough guideline provided by ASIC.
Right.
So if you go to a financial advisor and you don't have 250 grand, they're going to go away, right?
Not worth the time.
And they're saying that's a waste of time. But the reality is that you might have 50, 70, 80,000 in super and you're in your 50s because you've been through a divorce, you've made a couple of bad decisions. You might have been through your second divorce, right?
Are you telling my life story here? Come on, Jeff.
I don't know your super balance, mate, but I've seen super balances coming in now like a 50 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand.
Yeah.
And they're often women, right?
Okay.
Who they've just gone, look, I've had enough. I'm going out on my own for whatever reason.
Good on them.
Yeah. And it's and they're really gutsy, these women. I've been seeing a few of them recently, and they're going, no, I'm going to run my own show. I might be bloody 50 plus, but I'm going to start doing the things that I love doing. And some of them set up businesses, and but they're doing their own show, and then because it's not actually any law that says your self-managed super fund should be a certain balance. There's no law that says it must be.
It's a recommendation.
It's only recommendations.
Gotcha.
So a lot of the industry people scare people off. But these women are going, look, I'm starting again. I've done my research on the crypto world. I know the top 30 in coin market cap. Like, they're switched on. They've been doing their own research.
Right.
And they're going, hey, Gio, how do I do this? I've got 70 grand. I said, look, I am not a licensed financial advisor. I can't give you advice.
I understand.
I can just steer you in the right direction.
Sure.
So I can give you access to an accountancy firm that will go and set up your self-managed super fund for 70 grand. They don't care about the account balance.
You can
it's totally
people.
legal.
Yep. You
can go to the ASIC website and learn about the responsibilities of a trustee.
Sure.
Very, very important. You understand this because there's big penalties if you stuff it up.
Right.
And they're going, yes, Jeff, well, I'm a smart woman. I've done this and I've done that. Righto, happy days. And so if you can steer people to the information, which is really what we do at Wealth by Design.
Of course.
We educate and direct and refer.
Sure.
Then if you can get a 10-bagger over the next 5 to 10 years for 70 grand, what does that mean you've got in your super when you hit 60?
$700,000. My word, right? I mean, it's night and day change. It's life-changing.
Now, and there is a strong chance with all the evidence that's coming out, not that I'm giving the evidence, I'm just repeating other people.
Sure.
Publicly available information.
Okay.
If that's the go, and they can turn 7 into 700 in a self-managed super fund, 70
yeah.
into, yes, thank you, 70, then happy days. Why is it so important that it's in a self-managed super fund, Aaron? Why is it so important, Aaron? Because you've got to cash that stuff out.
You do.
And turn it into income-producing assets.
Of course you do.
Because there's no income on Bitcoin. That doesn't produce a dividend.
No.
So you've got to sell down and make a profit.
That's exactly right.
And if you sell down and make a profit,
yep.
What's the problem?
Well, capital gains tax.
Capital gains tax.
The biggie there. So
you've been
listening. Super.
Yeah. If it's inside super and your age, how old?
Was it 67?
60?
60 and 67 for the public.
So an independent retiree, self-funded retiree can retire at 60 and get access to $700,000 worth of increased value in their assets. Sure. And how much tax do they pay?
Zero on, and I love that. And okay, I'm going to wind this way back on this. This is a great thing. I mean, we're talking here, okay, and the great thing is you're giving education here. Honestly, the thing about the fees, I was actually wrong on the fees. I'm really glad that you sort of brought that to my attention. The great thing about Orange Brick Road, of course, you're getting the education. Yes. You can't move forward if you don't know what you're doing. That's the thing. You're just a boat that's floating through the old river without a rudder. Yeah. This is get the rudder, okay, and get the right advice and go to the right people and be this way you can avoid all of that tax. I mean, it's okay. Well, it's in plain, just boom, down numbers. If you didn't do that with your super and you had a 10-bagger and you got your $70,000 and you had $700,000, well, guess what? You now owe the government I love so much, $350,000. Bye-bye.
Yeah, if you sold it within 12 months, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
And that's, I mean,
that'll be the tax bill.
Catastrophic. Absolutely.
That'll be the tax bill. And of course, you might have been silly enough to have gone on board a boat and spend some money and paid down some debt. The tax man comes like 8 months later.
Sure.
And he'll bankrupt you to get the money.
Oh, of course he will.
It's ruthless. And so there's such good things that can be done in this area with small account balances, most probably.
Okay.
And if you go in with your eyes open and you do your own independent research, because you cannot take advice from anybody. Well, not me, not a financial advisor, no one. But if you can be directed to where you can find the information, become more comfortable.
That makes sense.
Then you can make an educated decision. And go, righto, what's a nice user-friendly platform where I can go and do all this on, where all the assets are totally insured and got full licensed custody? Then we at Wealth by Design can help, because we've got the right platform.
Well, you kind of stole that out of my head, my friend. I was about to say to you, this is something that to me, and I keep saying, is a game changer because of the fact that you can ensure this. You can protect your asset here.
Yes.
This has always been the great frightening thing that so many people have had issues with it. They're worried about crypto, for argument's sake, because of the fact that everybody hears the story of, I lost Bitcoin, I lost this, whatever. Well, there's a lot of sad stories in the world, but there's also a lot of very happy ones.
Yes.
And if you ensure and protect yourself and using the advice given from you, the tools that you've got access to, you can protect yourself.
You can, because the thing called licensed custody.
Right.
And licensed custody, you got three Here's a good one for when it comes to custody, guys, because we educate people on custody. Self-custody of crypto assets is that you download them off the platform onto it's like a cold wallet, a tracer. Okay, often called tracers. And on there, you transfer them on, and that is your portable hard wallet.
Right.
So a hacker can't take them off the exchange because they're sitting on your hard wallet. Okay. This is disconnected from the internet.
Yep.
And you stick it in your safe.
Right. Okay.
That's self-custody.
Sure. Like that.
Next custody is platform custody.
Okay.
Now, some platforms offer custody, and they go, don't worry, we've got everything under control.
Sure.
You can leave it here, right? Now, that is, say, Stormrake.
Sure.
Another fabulous organisation.
Great reputation.
Great reputation. Yeah. We refer lots of clients to Stormrake. They're a crypto broker, and they've got their own custody system, which is platform custody.
Okay.
And then you've got licensed custody, which is the W99 custody platform. Yeah. And, of course, that is more probably in line with what ASIC are chasing when their rules come out next year.
Okay.
And it's a custodian that basically owns those assets on your behalf whilst the assets sit on the platform.
Right.
So in this case, it's a custodian called Zodia.
Okay.
You can look them up, Zodia, zodia.com.au or .com. This is their Australian branch, based in Sydney. They are actually owned by Standard Chartered Bank and the NAB.
Okay, NAB. I think we've all heard of the NAB. I'm going to
So the National Bank
it's a biggie.
Yeah,
right?
it's a biggie. Everyone knows the NAB.
Yeah.
And so that's licensed custody.
Okay.
So licensed custody means you have 100% protection of your assets on platform. Okay. So if they get hacked off or the platform goes broke,
sure,
the assets don't go down with the platform.
The custodian
returns these assets to you.
Okay.
You can't go wrong.
Right.
So you got to look at the backers of the custodian. Oh, I'm happy with the NAB, or you're not happy with the NAB.
Sure.
But at least you've got to make some choices.
No, I get that. And and the way I'll sort of look at it in very, very basic terms is I said, I've told you this before, but there's sort of more to the story now. I had a little bit of fraud that had happened with a particular bank account from one of the big four, right? And the great thing was, okay, yes, took a bit of time, but ultimately I got the money back, right? Because of that sort of system.
Yes.
Now that's in the fiat, the everyday, dollars and cents sort of world, but to have that kind of safety and that sort of security moving forward in the crypto space, that is so important.
Too right.
Huge.
It is. It's a no-brainer, and it's because ASIC's biggest problem is security of Australian residents with their crypto assets.
Okay.
And that's why they're bringing in, most probably based on the rumour mill, is that they're bringing in rules around licensed custody.
Okay.
For all the platforms that operate in Australia. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds next year. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very anti-regulation. I hate all of that carry on. But it's like anything. You need a bit of balance here. Okay?
You do.
You really
Look,
do.
Honestly, you do. And a really interesting thing that there's a measure that was put in place by this exchange last year, because there's three different types of crypto investors.
Sure.
Or owners. There's traders, crypto traders,
right?
Crypto speculators, and there is wealth accumulators of crypto.
Okay.
They want to buy and hold.
Okay. Yeah.
And because they're
playing the long game.
It's not BHP. It's Bitcoin. They're playing the long game. They'll buy it and sit on it. They're aware that volatility going up and down.
Sure.
But who wouldn't be happy with 45% ongoing compound on any asset? Because the rule of 72, do you remember that one?
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Divide the number, the investment return into 72.
Yep.
And you come up with a number, and that's how long it takes to double your money. So if you're getting 7%,
yep,
right, 7% returns, not a bad return on property, right? Average compound over time.
Okay.
7 into 72 goes about 10.
Okay.
10 years to double your money, right? But if you've got like Bitcoin doing 45% every year, and that's been doing that for 10 years now.
That's huge.
Well, you know, it's not, how many times does 45 go into 72? Oh. So that's how long it takes to double your money.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hard
it's
to
a
believe,
huge difference. It really is. But okay, we can get all excited about the big numbers and the times, and I do get excited by it, make no mistake. But, right, end of the day, you got to make the money to actually buy the asset.
You do.
Right? And I want to actually throw this sort of idea forward about budgeting. Right? The most boring thing you could ever talk about in your entire life, let's set a budget. But I think in such simple ways, you can save, you know, the pennies, right, to make the pounds, back to the old saying.
You can.
You really can. So basically making very small changes in your lifestyle can actually create that money that you can go and buy these assets with. And the other thing too is obviously so many people think, oh, Bitcoin's $100,000. How can I afford 100,000? You just don't need to.
You don't need to.
Go buy $50 worth of Bitcoin.
$50 worth of Bitcoin. It goes to, you know, 8 zeros after the decimal point.
Yeah.
And so it's 000, 3.6 is about $50 worth.
Right, there you go.
And so, okay, now on this savings thing, really, really important point you bring up, Aaron. On our on the channel, we've uploaded a link, which is a very, very user-friendly link that allows you to put your budget together. You put your income in, you put all your fixed expenses in. You know, what are your rates? What are your taxes? What do you Bupa private health cover? All the fixed stuff.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
And underneath that, discretionary expenses, what are they? And do a budget for 2025. This is your job now to work out where all your money is going to go and what your savings capacity is for next year, because you can now have a really decent discussion about where the savings are going to go.
So true.
Are they going to go to pay off your credit card? Are they free to invest? You can do dollar cost averaging now.
You can.
So
explain what that is for those who don't know.
Okay, so dollar cost averaging is really smart. What we don't know what the market is going to do in crypto or any market.
Any market for that.
It's not,
no doubt.
Yeah. So you go, look, what I do know is what my savings capacity is. Because if I'm earning 120 grand and I'm spending all this and I can save 15,000 a year, that's a constant that you've got control over.
Sure.
So you might go 5 grand in there for a reserve. I've got 10 grand spare. Okay. Then you go, righto, I might take 3 of that.
Okay, of the 15.
Of the of the 10 that's left.
Oh, sorry.
You've allocated 10 to investment.
Gotcha.
And you might go, no, I'm going to pick 3 of that. I'm going to dollar cost average with 3 grand a year, $250 a month, right? And what it means is this, Aaron, is that, and let's talk about the pig market.
Okay. All right.
You invest in commodities, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Pork is a commodity you can invest in, right?
Yeah. Pretty popular one too.
And I've done this pig dollar cost averaging story for years. Okay. And it's in a little PowerPoint I put together. It's a bloody ripper. We'll stick it over here.
I've actually seen this. It is a bloody ripper. So there you go. I mean, whenever you start talking about this, no joke. You know where my mind goes? Paul Keating. I just remember him and his piggery, and I remember all of the controversy at the time. But mate, yes, it's a good story. Let's go with it.
So in simple terms, the pig market at the moment, if you're going to go buying pigs, they're $100 a pig.
Wow.
And you've decided that you've only got $100 a month to invest. That's it. Not $250, $100.
Okay.
So you buy 1 pig.
Yep.
But of course, and you are locked in understanding there's volatility in the pig market.
Of course.
Every month you're going to put $100 in, irrespective of what the pig market is doing.
Yeah. Right. So 1 month that may buy
every
half
month
a pig
for the next 2 years.
Who knows?
Yeah. So it drops.
2 pigs, whatever.
The pig market drops.
Yep.
And when the front page of the West goes, you've got no idea all those idiots invested in pigs. It's dropped down to $75.
Right.
Not 100.
Oh.
But nah, You're going to get in there, and
Mate, that's a really good pig. You know, you're only eating a quarter of it. Okay, it's very tasty.
Now, don't you distract our viewers?
Sorry.
And so you go, oh well, I've only got $100. So, and the pig market's dropped down to $75. Well, I'm buying a little bit more, aren't I?
Yeah.
Now it drops down to $50.
Right.
It's $50 a pig. You've still got a job. You're still budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
So now you still drop your $100 in.
Yep.
How many pigs are you going to get for $50?
Well, you're going to get two, obviously.
2 pigs.
Yeah.
Right. Drops down to $25. It's the pig market's devastated. Like Yarkov disease has broken out in England. They're burying millions of pigs in big pits, and the investment market's in turmoil. But no, you're sticking to your guns because you've heard a little story on Edge Radio about dollar cost averaging, and you go, nah, I'm sticking to my guns. Pig market's only $25 a pig. I've still got 100 pigs. Oh, how many pigs can I buy? 4.
That's right.
4 pigs. So you go, my $100 by 4. Now, when you do, if you do the numbers on that and you circle it back, right, each month only $100.
Sure.
Then you come back to, oh my God, you know, the pigs are back to $100, and you think, now how's this? For the whole time I've been investing in pigs, it's done nothing but go down.
Yep.
And recover to where it was at $100. You do your numbers there and see what your $100 has turned into.
The bad market has actually been a massive benefit to you. That's the thing. Like
it's just, and you can apply that to your equity investing in the share market.
Yep.
You can apply it to our crypto platform.
Right.
And you load your money into your cash account and your crypto platform, and you set it up to invest $100 every month, or 20 or whatever, and then you play the game of volatility. So what you're actually doing it for is for your long-term retirement.
Of course,
right? Because you might set up a self-managed super fund W99 crypto account, and then you actually like the lows. People are looking at their screens, always wanting green, right?
Yeah.
But these guys that are smart on the dollar cost averaging strategy, they like red. Because it's going down, and they're buying more every time.
It is so much about what you buy it for, right? The selling price, okay, great, you see the green, but in those markets where everything's going, up and to the right, I mean, it's the people who have bought when it was low who are benefiting out of this and benefiting big time. That's the thing. So so dollar cost averaging, doing that, being consistent about the way that you invest, right?
Yes.
Even it's the best savings plan that I can possibly imagine. Right. Consistency is important. You're in the game. You know what you can afford. You're not freaking out about the cost of things. Oh, it's gone up. Oh, it's gone down. No. You just boom, keep plugging away.
Yeah.
Because time in the market makes the difference.
Well done. It's time in the market, not timing the market.
Yeah.
Because our clients are investors and wealth accumulators. They're not punters and they're not speculators.
Right.
And so so that's just a little bit of a tidbit for the team.
Quite a tidbit.
What else have we got in here that's worth having a talk?
You talked about the pork. I mean, we've got that covered. That's important.
Pork covered.
I do find it amusing, actually. I don't know what, this is a little side sort of thing on this, but people who are in the world of finance, my word, they talk a lot about pork products, whether it be pork bellies or you're selling pigs, you've got pork eating doing this thing. I mean, come on. I might be stepping under lying there.
Yes, unfairly maligned. Very important part of our animal kingdom.
Yeah, it's straight. Yeah, it's straight. You got to laugh about life. Is very, very serious. Otherwise, you could have some fun with it.
Now, another one. So, as you know, we work with property people.
Yes.
And the 4th biggest asset class on the planet is property. Gives you capital growth and gives you rental income.
Sure does.
But why would you want to stick with a property that might be worth $1 million? It's only getting you $780 a week rent.
Well, I mean, that sounds great in some respects, right? It's cash flow, but geez, when you can look at the other numbers.
When you're 50 and you've got to be thinking in terms of, I don't want to be on the pension. The old age pension cuts in at 67. You go, look, I might have to be there, but if I can avoid it, I'd prefer to avoid it.
Of course you would.
So you go, be financially independent retirees. So if you're 10, 15 years out, you go, righto, property, what's the deal with property? Well, the $780 odd a week rental, $40,000 a year.
Yeah, okay.
After expenses is $32,000 a year. If you're debt free, it's like $32,000 a year in rent
for $1 million investment.
For $1 million investment. You go, this is where you've got to start having constructive talks. You go, well, That property is in joint names, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and you've said it's for your retirement. You get 30 grand a year in retirement. You're still got to pay tax on it because it's not in super. How do we get it in super, Jeff? Well, there may be some ways to look at it.
Okay.
And so you might be able to sell that property.
Right.
You might be able to have to wear a capital gains tax of 200 or 300 grand. However, did you know about, and you've got to discuss this with your financial advisor, or if you don't have one, we can introduce one to you.
Sure.
Did you know that, because you're still earning a good quid and you just told me you haven't been putting money into super, right? Yes, because, the government keeps changing it. Hang on a minute, we'll have a discussion about that. It's still the best tax structure on the planet to reduce your tax, super. So don't give me a hard time about the government.
I think that's a great point, mate. It's a tax structure.
Dead right.
And that's something I learned from you. I never thought of it that way. I actually thought of it before as very much a savings kind of thing. And it's not the way to look at it in any way, shape, or form.
Super is the best tax structure in town. You can have up to $2 million each in super, husband and wife, and pay no tax on the earnings and pay no capital gains tax on $2 million worth of assets each. After age 60, for God's sake. It's the best thing in town. And so we might say to these people, look, maybe we'll sell this property, pay a bit of capital gains tax, but you can go back 5 years of unpaid super, 5 years, and catch up.
Okay, that's where you can throw the money in. Yeah.
So now you can go, oh, crikey, Dick, I can find 160 grand for Mary, 130 grand for Jack. We've got bloody 250 grand here. That can go in as a tax-deductible contribution.
Okay.
This year. That might go a long way towards reducing the capital gains tax.
Of course it will.
Might not wipe it all out, but by crikey,
take a decent chunk out of it.
It'll take a big chunk out of it. And so we did a little exercise last night where we said, look, you've got to go to your accountant, because we're not accountants, but we know how capital gains tax works. We stuck it up on the whiteboard. And we've reduced a $54,000 CGT bill down to 8.
CGT?
Sorry. Yes, CGT, capital gains tax. Thank you.
Thank you. I do it all the time myself. It's one of the
CGT, capital gains tax. It was a capital gains tax bill of 54K. And I just did some rough numbers. I've got to double check this with your accountant.
Okay.
This is how it works. After 12 months of owning the asset, you get a 50% discount.
Okay.
It goes on to your respective taxable incomes. Boom, boom, boom. Wow. Down to 8 grand. They said, that is unreal,
it's a
Jeff.
bit more
No one's ever told us that. My accountant's never told us that. And I said, look, there is a problem with accountants and licensing. They can talk about tax, but unless they've got a financial planning license, they can't talk about bringing your super back for 5 years, because it gets into the realm of advice, and they're not licensed, so they won't tell you about it.
I know. Well, we've had this conversation before, because I was actually quite upset with my accountant, thinking, look, why am I not getting this advice? Why are you effectively, you're doing a great job in so many ways. You document things, and you've got, you keep it all under sort of track, if you like. But, okay, keeping it under track and actually making it multiply, or actually getting the benefit, or actually saving me money, it's not happening.
I know.
And I'm not in a position to go pay a financial advisor $5 grand, right? Okay. So it becomes very, very difficult, or more, so it does become difficult. So the great thing about someone like yourself, mate, you hooking the people together, right? You're bringing, there's so much knowledge there, and that knowledge is power. And bringing the right people to give you those decisions, or not decisions, the advice that you can make decisions on, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sure.
Man,
look,
huge difference.
It makes a fortune of a difference in many cases, because you can, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of difference. And it could mean the difference between $30,000 to $60,000 a year ongoing from age 60 to age 90. Like, it's really significant.
It is very significant.
Like that property example, you can buy these boarding houses now. They're bloody hard to find, but if you get the right team together, and we're working with property buyers agents that understand how a boarding house works. Like, you can go on, we're looking at one next week, a 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom,
right,
$2.5 grand a week. rent. Right?
Yeah.
Now that's gross. There's some expenses coming
Of
out of
course.
that. But when you do all the numbers, they are paying around 8 to 10% net yield.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Net. Now, if that's in your self-managed super fund, you're getting 120, 130 grand a year tax-free. Because even if you borrow some money
How much tax-free?
100% tax-free.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
So if it's 120 grand a year, plus your other bits and pieces, you're now on 150,000 a year, tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can live off that, right?
Well, let's wind back that clock, okay? We're talking about the similar investment when you've just got that house, that asset that you were sitting at, and we're talking about 30,000.
30 to 120.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Sure.
It's not easy, and you've got to have the right connections and the right people, and you've got to be prepared to take some risk, and you've got to get outside your comfort zone. The most challenging thing is getting your knowledge base up.
Of course.
Taking the time to listen to experts, explain how the numbers work, do your own independent research, and go, yep, I actually understand this now. I'm confident of giving this a go.
Education and research makes risk go down.
Dead
Let's
right.
be honest, right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
And you need to be able to sleep at night with your decisions.
Spot on.
And so many people in the crypto space are making knee-jerk decisions, probably getting good guidance, but they're buying their assets in the wrong structures. It doesn't take long to set up a self-managed super fund. You can do the whole bloody lot within a month, right? Get all the paperwork done.
Yep.
I've even got a fee lender in place for some of these, low capital super fund people. They might have 50, 80, 70 grand, and they're telling me they need a self-managed super fund. I'm not advising them, but I can say, look, you can do it for a couple of grand, and you can even borrow the 2 grand from a lender.
Is that right? Now, I must apologise for this. I've seen some comments that have just been popping up that I did not see. So let's bring the old big screen up so we can answer some of these questions. Now, Leanne Jones is us. Thank you, Leanne, for your question here. We've only just found out about super being a tax saving. I wonder how many other people out there don't realise this. Well, that's a great comment.
Good comment, Leanne. Thank you.
There we go. Fantastic. Now, when would you suggest is the right time for people to start putting money into their super?
Oh, there's a great question.
What age, mate?
As soon as you can.
Okay, that's good age.
As soon as you can.
I like that. Yeah, that works for me.
Even because the power of compound is so powerful. So although kids in their 20s can't access it for 40 years, you've got to teach them the fundamentals of compound. And a little bit of money, sure, they've got to save up for their house. They've got to buy their car. They've got to haven't even had kids yet. Oh, my God.
They're expensive.
So you're not going to put all your cash in a super as a kid. But you're going to put a bit in.
Yeah.
Tiny bit. Might only be $100 a month.
Well, there you go. There's your dollar cost average again. Right? Think about that as your way of saving. And savings is probably the wrong word. It's building, really.
It's genuine wealth building.
Yeah.
And it's not. There's so much misinformation in the wealth space, mainly promoted by the big institutions that are just product floggers. The education piece doesn't happen, and that is a big frustration for educators like us.
I can imagine.
Even Scott Pape does a great job with the Barefoot Investor. He's a base level educator. And now take my hat off to that guy. He's done a fabulous job of getting everyone understanding in simple language how the basics of money creation and wealth creation works. Brilliant. And one of the biggest factors is time. So if these kids can put a bit aside into super, fantastic. Right, now, another one coming from
further sort of comment coming from Leanne. I appreciate this too. This is the wonderful thing about being so interactive here. That follows on from the last question, of course. Is there ever a time when you would suggest not to put your money into super? For example, when people have a lot of debt.
Okay, fantastic question. Every case is a case by case, Leanne, and it may well be based on a range of circumstances. You put a hold on your contributions to super and focus on paying debt. But it may well also be, depending on your age, it may be, so the younger ones, yes, more likely to put a hold and pay down debt. The older ones, if you're 45, 50, you would go, nah, I'm going to maximize my contributions into super because I will use the accumulation of the wealth in super for when I retire to pull some of that out to pay down the debt.
I'm going to ask you a question that's probably not something very easily answered because you're a finance man, okay? And this is more about humans and psychology of things. Now, when you're young, all right, you're living your life, okay? You think you're invincible. What's a way that we can actually instill in people who are in their 20s that this is a great time to get involved and actually start, putting a little bit away, start investing very young? What can we do to kind of change that narrative of just kind of living for the moment and wasting money on your I don't know, a coffee with a name that long, right?
Yeah, look, I think a bit of tough love helps.
Okay.
There's some crayfishing elder gentry up in Gero that are very good at this. They're the older statesmen that are multimillionaires, but these young kids come on as their deckies. And they sort of almost beat them up. They say, listen, I can't stop you bloody drinking grog and bloody taking drugs, but you won't be doing much of that. Otherwise, you won't keep your job.
Yeah, great point.
But another condition of getting a job is that you will buy a house.
Right. And that's highly unusual. Doesn't normally happen in
they punch them around a bit, metaphorically. They go, listen, and they get a deposit and they send them off to a broker. And then once they get that done, they said, right, now you got to go and see Jeff.
Good on. I actually have got a little bit of skin in the game on this, as far as I've got two relatives who went and did prawn trawlers or crays, right? Okay. And made a lot of money. Okay. And lived a wild lifestyle and now have nothing to show for it. And I think to myself, like, you've worked that's a physical job, man.
It's hard.
And you've only got a very small window of time because it wears your body out.
Yeah, too right. It's early mornings and it's a hard life. And there is so much good that can be done with proper education at that front end. In maximising super contributions for these kids is not a bad idea, but if you're going to take it off them and put it into something they can use now, that's great. Show them how to buy a couple of properties, right? But the single biggest thing that you need to get through kids' heads is the power of compound.
Yeah, I agree.
It is so, because you can do this on a bit of butcher paper, right? Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put this amount in, right? And then they're only in their 20s and they can't believe they'll ever be as old as their father, who's 60. They can't believe they'll ever get that old. But you could say, listen, your old man got here. You will get here, I'm telling you. If you don't kill yourself, so bloody
give that a
drug overdose. So you can go to here. Now, that's 40 years. Let's just see, using the power of rule of 72, how quickly it will take you to continue to compound your money. And you can show these kids how to be multimillionaires, and they can't believe it.
That lights them up.
That because they see on YouTube, a lot of the YouTubey stuff, the billionaires and
there's a lot
the
of
yachts and the big boats and rah.
Yeah.
And they're running around in their golf, their sort of Gulfstream jets and things, and all the film stars and the rock stars and the soccer greats, and they're tuned into a bit of that. But when you say to them, do you realise that you could also have literally $5 million of assets when you're 60? They go, that's bullshit. And you can show them on a survey how it's possible. And if there's only one thing I do with the kids, I teach them the power of compound.
Horrendously important, mate. There's a lot of other things you can teach kids, adults, old fellas like me who are making the run a bit too late. And the way to do that is actually jump online. Now, I put the little link up there as far as it's on the screen, but also
fantastic.
in the messages that have come through, the comments. There's a few little links there to click away. To go to actually bookjeff.com.au. Great thing. Now, what if you book, I'll get it yet, book jeff.com.au. What are we booking here?
Okay.
What do we get?
So what do you get? You get me rambling for a little bit, but only a little bit.
That's part of your charm, mate. Absolutely. It's who you are.
I think I'm sort of putting the finger out right now. But after that, they get a chance of clicking 2 links.
Okay.
One is click a link and fill out a form and tell me a bit about your financial situation.
Yep.
So that'll come through to our system and I get a chance to read it before you then click the next link, which books a calendar link in my calendar.
Okay.
And then I can just have 15-minute chat, just a quick chat. I have a lot of time, but you can tell me all the things you want to know about.
Yep.
About saving money and making money. It just could be how to get the best finance for your next car, because we run an aggregator business for finance brokers as well. So it might be a finance thing. It might be about crypto. It might be about revising your will, because now you're earning a few bob.
Okay.
And you just got to get a basic will set up. Whatever it is, bookjeff.com.au. And happy days. We'll have a chat.
And I can tell you right now, as a man who sits and has a chat with this gentleman every week, you will be entertained. Okay, you will. Apart from being entertained, it is absolutely brilliant, mate. I really value your advice, conversations, and the places you steer me, because off camera, obviously, we have chats that that I'm now linked up with people who can do wonderful things to sort of make my future better, which is a very, very positive thing. And look, honestly, just go click away, have the conversation. You will go wonderful places, let me tell you. All right, that is the end of the show. This has been Wealth by Design here on Edge Radio Australia.